All right, welcome. So today we're going to be looking into the nodes and the transit that's coming up. So we're looking into Rahu in Aquarius and Ketu in Leo. And this transit, it's going to start on May 18th, 2025, and it's going to go to December 5th, 2026. So it's approximately about 18 months for this transit to take place. So we're going to be talking about some of the main themes. I have this initial image here to show you guys for the themes, and usually whenever I'm picking images to match up or align for the thumbnail, I'm just doing it intuitively. So this was the image that wanted to be created, and we're going to talk about why that is, and we're going to be breaking down this presentation into several parts. So we're going to dive into understanding Rahu and Ketu. So my intent for these astrology videos moving forward is to kind of break things down and talk about some of the basics so that we're understanding how to use astrology properly and understanding the fundamentals of how things work together. And I think this is going to help you to understand how things work, because I think often we lean maybe too heavily on their astrologers to tell us what certain things mean, when really we can be using our own intuition and guidance, and we can be using those videos as confirmation for things that we're sensing that we know. So I've already dropped a short. If you haven't checked that out, go ahead and check it out for the Rahu and Ketu. That is basically a quick summary, 1-minute summary of the energies that are coming up. But I will be doing shorts breaking down the different nakshatra transits that happen. And because Rahu and Ketu aren't perfectly matched with their nakshatras, I'm going to be doing it at different periods. So that adds up to about 6 videos, because they're each going to be transiting through 6 nakshatras. I'm also going to be doing some series, I've already mentioned this several times, where I'm going to be talking about the grahas, which we often call planets, but they're grahas. We're going to be talking about the bhavas, which is the houses, and the rashis, which is the zodiac signs, as well as the 27 nakshatras, constellations. But first we're going to start with the basics, and then we're also going to start with some basic terminology so that we can understand it better. And I'm doing this because I learn. I learn actually better when I'm talking and when I'm sharing my findings with people and summing it all up. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into the Rahu Ketu shift that's happening, starting with the first title page here. So the theme that we have coming up is dominion, and dominion sounds like domination. We have the line here at the center of the image, and maybe you're thinking to yourself, is he dominating the world? With Ketu and Leo and this dominion, the true dominion that we're here to acknowledge is not dominion over others. It's actually dominion over ourselves, which is why I have the monk meditating next to the lion here. And he actually looks like, is it Aang from the Waterbender series? Sorry, Airbender. The last Airbender. There it is. Okay, my childhood, it's coming back to me. And we're getting that vibe because this is showing us that we're not here to have dominion over anyone else but ourselves. So in the background here, we also have a futuristic scene. We have the sun setting. So there's some like little clues that we can pull on here for what we're expecting moving into this shift. Now, we could sum it up really quickly. Rahu and Aquarius, innovation, group work, technology. Ketu and Leo, this is like the leadership energies. So these energies, whenever Rahu and Ketu are aligning, they're here to align with one another. So as Rahu is in Aquarius and Ketu is in Leo, they actually function well together, but they can also function dysfunctionally. And that's why individually it really impacts us all differently. So after I talk about some of the fundamentals of this transit, we'll go into breaking it down into the shift depending on your ascendant sign, which actually I think is the ascendant or the moon sign are probably going to be the most ideal for more accurate predictions for what you expect. But you can also use your sun. I kind of want to put the focus on the ascendant because the ascendant is sort of what's happening in your life or what theme you're here to focus on specifically in your life. Okay, so that's our image. And then in the corner here, so that is the deity Varuna. And Varuna is the deity of the cosmic waters of the universe. And we'll dive further deep into talking about that. So behind, it looks sort of destructive. There's like smoke behind. The smoke in the clouds is actually connected to Aquarius energy. And Air and fire make smoke. So I thought the smoke was actually quite fitting. So yeah, we're going to dive into talking more about that. We got some fire, some intensity going on. Let's go ahead and start with the first part here. So Rahu in Aquarius and Ketu in Leo, we talked about the dates here. So some of the main themes, Rahu in Aquarius is exploration, experimentation, of innovation. So exploration and experimentation of innovation, technology, eccentricity, which is about living outside of the box or doing things outside of the box. Humanitarianism, group work or synchronicity, idealism, futuristic ideas, and media, which may reveal some startling truths and help us to tune into this energy of discernment and sorting. And sorting I actually got from Prash Trivedi, who I've pointed out, he is a phenomenal astrologer who is great at his work, and he always puts the emphasis on understanding the importance of finding a foundation stability within yourself before you step into astrology, which he's absolutely right, because when I first got into it, I did go crazy and I did make some assumptions about what I thought some of the placements meant in my chart. When I set it aside and I focused more on myself and just some of the basics of taking care of myself, and I came back to it, I was actually more ready to take it on. Okay, so Ketu in Leo is connected to the spiritual essence within us. So spiritual approach or detachment to status. So Leo is all about status, recognition, pride, ego, traditional values. It can revolve around traditional values, family. We have your leadership through high standards and honor, respect, authority, dissolution of the ego. That's a really obvious theme coming through. Ancestral karma. So Ketu is connected to karma, but definitely with that Ketu and Leo and the Magha energy, like Leo energy makes us think of family, and it makes us think of what we inherit, right? So this is an opportunity to really pinpoint some ancestral karma that we're working through. And then there's the personal transformation, right? Leo actually does encourage that personal transformation. So it does ask for you to dive in. You're not just going to call to do deep work. Wherever Ketu is sitting, it's calling you to activate those energies too. So some of the overlapping themes you're going to see. So it's Saturn being in Pisces, especially until, I think, maybe 2028, early? Maybe. Yeah, I think so. So Saturn Pisces is focusing on the end of some sort of cycle. And karma, obviously, is primary as far as what kind of cycles are we ending. And it's always some sort of karmic cycle, but it in general is a cycle. So karma is one of the obvious themes. Karma is why we exist. But beyond that, there's a lot of different cycles of existence of how we've done things that are being put to an end at this point. So Saturn in Pisces to me also connects me to the World card. So the World card is a representation, World card in tarot is a representation of completion of something. How's this completion happening? Well, it's divinely timed. It's going to happen whether we want it to or not. Another overlapping theme is Purva Bhadrapada and Uttara Bhadrapada. So right now, this is where Rahu is. It's in Purva Bhadrapada in Aquarius. Saturn right now is also in Uttara Bhadrapada as well. Neptune as well. Yeah. So they're all there. They're all kind of focusing on those nakshatras, Purva and Uttara Bhadrapada. We've felt these energies. Rahu is in Purva Bhadrapada right now, and it's going to keep moving backwards into the other Aquarius nakshatras. So those nakshatras focus on karma and completion. Overlapping theme. We have Jupiter moving into Ardra. There's a lot of different shifts that Jupiter's doing that's signifying this, but this is what I could fit on my notes page here. So this transit is happening mid-June to the end of July, and Jupiter in Ardra. Ardra is about purification. So again, there's purification through destruction. Again, we have this ending that's coming through. So endings involve some sort of purification process, right? For things to be finalized. And we'll dive deeper into that. So let's talk about some of the basics. The Rahu and Ketu. So Rahu and Ketu are the shadows of the moon. So they're not considered actual grahas. They're different. They're actually energies connected to the moon. to self-reflection and what we're here to work on for ourselves. The moon, you think about it, it changes signs every day, or changes nakshatras every day. So it's always kind of shifting the dynamic of humanity. And so is Rahu and Ketu. Rahu and Ketu take on particular themes during those 18 months where they're transiting through that specific Rashi. So I will dive further and I'll make another video where I talk in depth about it and about the mythology connected to Rahu and Ketu, about was it like a dragon, right? Yes, it's a dragon. I was gonna say snake, but it was a dragon who's got its head cut off, right? So we have Rahu the head, Ketu the tail. So both Rahu and Ketu amplify and bring unpredictable shifts in our lives. They're meant to. It's always going to bring some sort of unpredictability or shift. It's not meant to be predictable, and it's not meant to be safe. It's meant to challenge us to grow. While Rahu is a gluttonous, unfillable pit that is made easily excitable by the very sight of its desire, Ketu brings a sense of dissatisfaction to things that can't be experienced directly, and yet they find a way into our lives no matter how much we want to avoid them. So Ketu is kind of so Rahu's experience of something we are just so tempted. And even though illusion is a word that is frequently connected to Rahu, I'd like to add delusion. I think Rahu can be quite delusional because it has this idea that, hey, if I do this, everything's just going to be solved and resolved. Ketu is often the thing that we're avoiding. It's kind of the thing we're not as interested in, but yet it sort of just finds its influence in our life anyways. And through experiencing it, we learn something about ourselves. So Rahu is that external desire. So this is more of the outward expression of life that we're focused on in the material world. Rahu is more of a material experience. Ketu is focused on spiritual, the internal introspection and detachment from the material world. So they're total opposites in this case, and they actually help to balance us out. Wherever our Rahu and Ketu is, it actually helps us to find balance with ourselves. Both nodes of the moon bring a mystical challenge into our lives, where we are asked to face unpredictability and evolve by facing it. Only then we can dissolve the illusions of this reality. So in general, I don't think it's actually accurate to just connect illusion to Rahu, because to me, as someone who has a Ketu ruled moon, I've personally had to learn that Ketu has a lot to do with dissolution, and it has a lot to do with the dissolution of illusions. So both Rahu and Ketu are about illusions. Ketu is just more of the untangible experience. So it's more of like a belief system or an experience, but it's not necessarily the tangible thing. Whereas Rahu is more of a tangible illusion that we fixate on. All right, so I have some images here representing Rahu and Ketu. So we got the gluttonous energy coming through for Rahu. It is hungry. It's hungry, it's starving, it wants to experience something, it wants to have something, it just wants it. And it thinks whatever it's going towards, it's going to solve its problem. So to me, the way that we move through Rahu with grace is patience. So I have the hourglass here and the clock with like someone who looks like they're meditating in front of the clock. I think this is quite fitting and very aligned, because with Saturn and Pisces, Saturn is about time. Pisces is about timelessness. And then we have Aquarius energy, which is ruled by Saturn. So a huge theme will be time, for sure. And to me, in general, how we overcome the fear of what's going on in this realm of reality is we learn to embrace the concepts of patience. Like, that's important. You have to be patient with progress, patience with yourself. Ketu and Leo. So we have the out of the box energy. There's actually a show on Disney as a kid I used to watch called Out of the Box. It was one of my favorite shows. I don't know, it's so funny. I love that show. I was like, oh my gosh, my favorite show. So out of the box, Ketu brings these out of box unusual experiences, as does Rahu, but Ketu makes us think very just unusual, like Pandora's box. That's actually why I chose the box. Sorry. It wasn't out of the box. It was more of Pandora's box. So Ketu is more of that mystery you don't want to unravel, but when you unravel, boy, is it like a rabbit hole. You go down it. We have this detective here and you just start researching. So Ketu is connected to research. And I have this cyclical arrows at the center here. So I think that's just about diving in. I honestly don't remember why I put those arrows there. Down below, I have two figures, and one looks like he's falling back. So that's about the trust fall. Yeah, Ketu is very much so mysterious. Like you actually, when you lean into it and you trust what's going to happen without forcing anything, whereas Rahu, you're more tempted to force it. When you just trust that you will be caught, things work out. Yeah. So we have a maze. I got the triangles. So triangles to me are all about knowledge. So this makes me think about the detective who's trying to solve a mystery. He's trying to solve something or understand something. Like, what is this Pandora's box? What kind of mystery is Ketu going to activate in my life? And then, so yeah, the triangle is always about knowledge and receptivity and receiving knowledge from the higher sources, high divine. And then we have a heart. So this is about learning about ourselves, learning about who we are. So the mystery that we're here to unfold. So these are kind of general concepts. They're not about like, oh, Ketu and Leo is about the Pandora's box. No, like Ketu in general is a Pandora's box. But Ketu can help to align you with fulfillment, funny enough, because it's about detachment. We don't actually get fulfillment from attachment to material things, which Rahu will convince us that we can. Okay, so we have here on the next page. So Rahu, I wrote delusion because I just feel like Rahu is more delusion than just illusion. So Rahu delusion presents itself as ideal. Yet upon achieving it, we are left empty. We then insist on increasing our appetite or intake to satisfy an unquenchable thirst. The best approach is to take it on with no urgency and understand that it is a temptation that requires careful and sober handling. Yeah, so Rahu is definitely about that gluttonous appetite that we just can't seem to fill. And we should all know at this point, if we have tried to focus on our Rahu, even though maybe you've done well, you've excelled, maybe even gotten recognition around it, you've maybe gotten fame, notoriety around that thing, wherever Rahu is sitting, yet something felt like it was missing. So Ketu illusion presents itself as ambiguous, right? Pandora's box, like a riddle that can't be solved, but through indirectness gives us the very thing we need. The best approach is to accept its inevitable challenge and observe its unpleasant presence. Okay, kind of weird how I wrote that sentence. I'm gonna have to fix that. This makes a way for effortless, no force, peace, and purification. Ketu solves the problem by dissolving it through lived experience. Rahu masquerades as a solution, but if we resist its illusion or delusion, it will too fade into the background. So both Rahu and Ketu are shadows of the moon, right? In the sense they are the most delusionals of energies that we have within us. And they can be very challenging and misleading, but they ask for us to dive inward. Both of them actually ask for us to dive in, to observe, to pay attention. And when we observe and we pay attention to what's going on, we slow down, then we're able to see what's going on. And so this is why meditation comes in handy for mastering our Rahu and Ketu energies, because we're able to pause, sit still, and observe what's going on so that we're not reckless with our choices. So Rahu and Aquarius, let's dive into the impact of Rahu and Aquarius. Rahu and Aquarius will bring delusions around technological salvation and false humanitarian leaders who we think can solve our problems. Surely technology, or the perfect worldly and progressive leader, is the answer and can solve our problems, or all of our problems. But through our reliance on it, it will only amplify more problems and remove the accountability we need to take to solve our own problems. So that first part, yeah, Rahu, it sounds great, like group work, humanitarianism, but you have to remember, both Rahu and Ketu are about delusions and illusions. So Rahu will easily delude us into thinking, oh, we're getting together, we're solving all these problems. The only way we truly solve our problems is actually on an individual level, not necessarily collectively. We can get together, we can attract people of the same frequency who are interested in advancing and progressing society. But this society has so much, like it's a matrix. It's meant to create layers upon confusion of confusion. So yeah, there might be like, I don't know, another Elon Musk comes out during this period of time where we're just like, he's going to save humanity. But then, you know, this person is actually just forwarding their own agendas. And a lot of those worldly leaders are of the Matrix, so very much of the Matrix, that they're caught in and they're intertwined into the system themselves. They couldn't free you and liberate you. You got to liberate yourself. So Rahu in Aquarius' positive impact is to inspire innovation, progressive change, and ideas, the spread of helpful information or truth, and encourage the acceptance of eccentrics out-of-the-box living. Contrary, it can also spread misinformation. So this is an air sign, right? So an air sign is all about communication, and Aquarius is advanced. Now Rahu is delusion and illusion. So it might think, and people might think, that they have the best ideas ever, here to solve humanity. I have the truth. I have the best truth. But all of the true truths of reality have already been established prior. You know, we can only ever uncover the truth that has always existed. We're not uncovering anything new or inventive, so to speak. But this could be an opportunity in time for people to create innovative technological solutions that are healthy for the environment. And you're going to see things come out at an accelerated or rapid pace, as we've already heard in the news, the robots being presented and people talking about, hey, buy a robot, start putting down your deposit for your robot. And yeah, you know, there's some technological solutions. Maybe even some of these technological solutions can help us to save time, power, energy, or whatever. But here's the delusion of reality, is that, let's say we give the robot our chore to do, but then we're not paying attention. Let's say we're telling it to cook our food, but then we're not paying attention to, you know, cooking our food or grounding or connecting to earth. We're busy playing video games instead of like taking care of ourselves. So you always have a choice, and people will be probably irresponsible, especially in the beginning phase of new technology coming out. This could be a time for a lot of information to come out in the media, you know, the truth. So you're going to see more exposure. With Rahu being in Purva Bhadrapada right now, there has been a lot of exposure that's been happening. With Saturn having transited through, it's been an opportunity for people to be like, look at the truth, look at this exposure that's coming out, the whistleblowers, right? We're going to be siding with the whistleblowers during this period of time. But this could also delude people into thinking they have to start a revolution and think they're revolutionizing the world when they're probably just causing some more havoc. So some people might get caught with their ideas. They might, get caught up in their own ideas. There could also be a lot of misinformation. There's already an issue with misinformation. You know, if you believe in the age of Aquarius, I feel like it's a mix of both. You know, I believe, since I follow the sidereal astrology, according to that calculation, this would be the age of Pisces. You know, with us being in a transitional space, as I've been reading in the energies, I think for sure we could be experiencing the intensity of both energies of Aquarius and Pisces. Like we might be just in like a 100, 200 year period transition space where both of these energies are blending together. And so we're seeing a lot of innovation, and we're seeing a lot of information technology and internet stuff happening. We're still very immature with our use of it. It's still relatively new in terms of how it influences us, and it influences our mental health. So yeah, there could still be a lot of issues that become apparent during this time. You might actually see some laws or rules or regulations around technology and how people approach it. So it might go from one extreme to the other. It might be like, yeah, total freedom, to you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do any of this. Each individual holds the responsibility to redirect to being of service. The only way we can truly be of service is by focusing on our own well-being. No organization can be organized to fix the system, as by our own corrupt nature, it will become another false construct. As technological solutions show up, so will technological wastefulness. So this means exercise your discernment. You know, if you want to join a group or an organization, exercise discernment. Personally, what I've learned from joining organizations who seem to have certain solutions, they also create another problem with it. So just in general, in this world and the way that the matrix is designed, is that there's always a false construct attached to something that we consider to be a solution. So you hold your own responsibility. Aquarius in general is calling for you to be of service to humanity. And the best way for you to be of service is to take care of yourself. And then you will, you may be inspired to help other people through you taking care of yourself. And that's the best way to approach it. Okay. So we got some images here, the robots, innovation. Yeah. Or, the issue with technology too is that people can become very wasteful, right? So let's say, let's start busting out a lot of technology, but then people can throw it away when they're like, oh, I don't like my old TV, I need a new one. It's very wasteful unless they can recycle these old things and make it something new. Then it's great, but there's a lot of wastefulness that comes with the invention of new technology, and that's what I've seen time and time again. I've never seen, when people are inventing things like, oh, let's say, I just see more plastic, more wastefulness than ever. Boxes, trash. It doesn't seem like it's decreasing right now, but maybe someone's going to come up with a solution this year, or some group or organization will share a solution. Okay. Rahu and Aquarius. So here are the nakshatras Rahu is going to be transiting through. Rahu will be transiting first through Purva Bhadrapada, or it is in Purva Bhadrapada. So this is, Purva Bhadrapada is first ruled by Saturn and then Jupiter. So Jupiter is law and order. So we have discipline, karmic penance, law and order, truth. Rahu amplifies karmic justice, retribution themes. So actually this has been a very intense time for a lot of people. You would think, oh, Jupiter is just so, will bless us with blessings. But with that combination of Jupiter, Saturn, and sitting in the nakshatra of Purva Bhadrapada, which is all about discipline and karmic penance, it's actually been a very intense time to pay the karma. So this has been a time where we have been paying off our karma and taking care of that debt that we previously accumulated in past lives or in this lifetime. Yeah, so Law and Order, if you've ever watched that show, that's a very good way to understand what Purva Bhadrapada energy is. But that discipline pays off, and celebrities, for example, who have this sign can be very highly disciplined, just very good at juggling a lot of different things in their life. Okay, so we have here Shatabi Shak. So Shatabi Shak, so first ruler Saturn, obviously because it's in Aquarius, and then Rahu. So this is actually going to be the main energy I'm picking up for Rahu transit into Aquarius because of that Rahu and Saturn influence. So the energies of Saturn Rahu, which is Shatabi Shak, is the same energy as Rahu in Aquarius. So you're going to be seeing mainly the theme of this nakshatra playing out through this shift. So Rahu is at home in its own nakshatra, which means it likes to party probably. I imagine that when Rahu gets into this nakshatra, things are going to get kind of crazy. So I have the dates as well on a different page. Let's see if I can scroll down here. Yeah. So Purva Bhadrapada, this is where Rahu is in now until November 22nd. And then it's going to be entering Shatabi Shak on November 22nd, which is an interesting date. That'll be, I think, Scorpio season, actually. Very interesting. Okay. So Shatabi Shak, extreme sense of responsibility to humanity, to contributing something, to a longing, or moving with a herd, or needing a following. This nakshatra is connected to the deity of Varuna, the god of cosmic waters, who restores balance to the universe through extreme measures. One can be offered great power in this nakshatra, but must uphold great responsibility to maintain it. It is an extremely magnetic energy of a savior or someone highly favored. But this energy also creates addictive tendencies because of that Rahu, addictive, gluttonous appetite, addictive personalities, addictive tendencies. Shatabi Shak is also connected to ambrosia. So to me, when you channel this energy in a healthy way, this energy becomes about the ambrosia, about healing, about medicine, for oneself and others. I think Shattabhishaka is connected to, was it the 100 or the 1000 healers? So it has that ambrosia. People who have this placement can either have a very healing aura, or what they do can maybe help uplift people. Rahu is at home here and will accelerate divine justice based off of one's actions. So that's Varuna's energy. Varuna is all about restoring balance to the universe. So restoring balance, again, justice is that common theme that we're seeing here. Rahu is at home here and will accelerate divine justice. The karmic debt will be collected. Okay, so sorry. Let me read that sentence again. Rahu is at home here and will accelerate divine justice based off of one's actions. The karmic debt will be collected and purification will take place. So Purva Bhajapada, is definitely activating that karmic penance, but by the time Shattabhishak comes through, universe is like, we collecting it. We collecting that karmic penance. We taking it. So a lot of celebrities have this position. So we got Rihanna. I think that both Justin Bieber and Michael Jackson have this placement somewhere in their chart. I think Michael Jackson, it was an ascendant moon for him. I'm not sure where Justin Bieber's placement is for this one. But, it can give, sure, it could obviously give massive fame and massive success with that Rahu Saturn, but it's through hard work and it's very karmic sign. So, as we know, fame is not ideal for anyone because it comes with a lot of karma. You're going to have to hear people talk about you all the time just because they can, because this is highly materialistic placement. And it can, one can desire for a lot of materialistic attachment, but the thing is, we're not designed for materialistic attachment, so it works against us down the line. And you might see people, it might look great, as did Michael Jackson's life. It looked quite spectacular, as did Justin Bieber's. And then you see there starts to be a decline at some point because it becomes a self-destructive energy, because fame is just not... the karmic debt, karma is about humbling you. So yeah, fame, it just in general works against you eventually. So we got Dashnishta here. So Saturn, and the second ruler is Mars. So to me, this energy is more active. So Dashnishta moves to the beat of its own drum. It's proactive, creative, musical, rhythmic, courageous. Good for karma from past efforts. Dashnishta is also connected to the lion. So it's also connected to this energy of wealth or inheritance. Rahu will magnify, and this is the inheritance of wisdom. So yeah, on a materialistic level, you can think it's an inheritance of money, but the true wealth is knowledge and wisdom. It's not money. Money doesn't mean anything when you die. So that just goes to show you, you take the fruits of your labor. Whatever you do in each lifetime, it really matters. So whatever you do, whether you're helping yourself to elevate or you're devolving, it plays into your next lifetime, and that plays into what you inherit. So if you have this placement in your chart, for example, this can show something you've inherited or you're working towards inheriting, but you have to put in the work first here. And this can be a very frustrating position, perhaps, because Mars and Saturn are opposites. Mars wants to go, Saturn wants to pause. Saturn hits the brakes. So sometimes these energies are like, ugh. They're just like pulling in different directions. And so, Dashnishta is interesting because it's all about finding that perfect rhythm. Finding that perfect rhythm to move with the flow of life. Rahu will magnify fruits of one's karma and perfect timing. So right around this time when Rahu is transiting into this Nakshatra, this is when you're going to see the fruits of people's labor and karma showing up. So, you doing the karmic work, you increasing good karma in your life, you're going to see this showing up. So later towards next year, that's where you're going to start seeing some things like, whoa, this is amazing. And whatever shows up, it's going to be perfect timing. Show up right on time. Okay. So in this image here, we already kind of talked about some things. There's inheritance. Dashnishta is connected to the lion. We got Varuna at the center here. And that's created by AI, so it's not perfect. So just make peace with it. The images that they offered that, you know, I'm paying for the app, so I'm like, to pay for another image, I'm like, we're gonna get a free image. So karmic penance, you know, we have someone bowing down by the cross. We have Lady Justice there holding your scales. So you're the one who ultimately determines, is it thy heart is too heavy, or is your heart as light as a feather? This is your time to work on that karmic penance and lightening up your heart, doing the right thing, because this is a very karmic time we are in right now, which means that the universe is going to pull things. It's going to like, Saturn and Pisces, tsunami ocean is going to pull you no matter what. So you might as well just learn how to work with the flow of life versus fighting it. Because ultimately it's for your highest good. It's for purification. It's for you to retain that knowledge here. Learn how to work with the flow. So if you look at your life situation, you're thinking, oh, this is not looking so great. If you think down the line, this is what's cool about studying astrology. When you start to see how things align, you know, this fear of things not working out or whatever, it's not legit. Maybe things won't work out in the way that you want it to, but everything is actually working in honor of your highest good. And sometimes karma just comes in to balance things out, and you have to allow that balance to happen. It's just the divine laws. So, okay, divine laws are happening, cosmic waters are moving. Why don't I educate myself on the divine laws and how they work? Okay, so I'm diving really deep into this. I guess I'm more passionate than I realized. Okay, so we have your Ketu and Leo. Ketu and Leo will, oh, by the way, you might literally experience some sort of inheritance of some sort. Like it's coming from good karma efforts that came in, but you might experience some sort of inheritance where people just give you something to help you out. Okay, so if you're Ketu and Leo, Ketu and Leo will encourage all the qualities of Leo to show up, such as leadership, creativity, honor, and respect. Ketu and Leo is someone who has all the qualities of leadership but doesn't want to be a leader. In my opinion, the best leaders are people who don't want it but have all the qualities to thrive at it. Ketu and Leo is the energy of Magha Nakshatra, which it will be transiting last. An introverted Leo, who has an inner rich life and prefers isolation over crowds, yet has all the ability to express themselves quite well. This will be a good period to spend much time in isolation, where one's creative abilities will grow along with one's leadership capabilities. Sorry about slurring there. Along with one's leadership capabilities. This will also be a period of a call to action for introverted and spiritual leaders to come to the forefront and help guide others with accessing old traditions and ancient truths that stand the test of time. Passionate leadership activism will become very pronounced. So yeah, there's a big theme around leadership. And to me, there's only one real leader. The only leader that exists is one who leads by example. So you don't need a bunch of people to come knocking to your door. You don't need a crowd of people to say you're the best thing ever. Lead your life with honor. And this placement, wherever this transit is happening, it will honor you. And that's all you have to focus on. So I pick up the energy from Magha. I always get the energy of introverted Leos, like very introverted. Someone who has the quality of leadership, like honor, respect. They embody these qualities quite well, but they don't really like crowds or fame or whatever. They just kind of like doing the work, putting their head down and doing the work. And that's their preference. So that's where that introversion is coming around. You don't have to put a label on yourself here, but yeah, we'll mainly be seeing that energy. So yeah, you might see some people promoted into leadership during this time. You might see some wonderful examples of leadership. And honestly, the reason why it's showing up is because these people aren't attached to the things, the trophies and the shiny, sparkly trophies that come with, or medals that come with the leadership. They really are just interested in honoring the pathway. Those are the best leaders. And they're the ones who are actually here to be a humanitarian with that Aquarius energy. They're the ones who are here to help out and be of assistance in some way. But they have some sort of magnetic quality, and that's because of, you know, if they have this placement in their chart of their past life, you might be feeling like there's a past life ancestral energy that's being activated. So Magha is also connected to we'll dive into the nakshatras shortly here, but Magha is also connected to DNA. So I have like a DNA here. You're going to see, again, the theme around ancestral karma that's showing up. This is inherited through our DNA, and then we have past life karma as well that we've also inherited that we're working through. So I was getting sort of like golden energies connected to Leo, the sun, and royalty, but true royalty is divinity. You know, it's about honor, respect, treating people kindly. It's how you are. It's not, you know, all of the materialistic things you're able to accumulate and what you've inherited from. By the way, most of that stuff that people be inheriting was stolen from someone else. So, you know, it's not honorable in any true sense. Leo also likes to focus on high quality premium. So, you know, with Ketu and Leo, one might, you know, prefer more of a premium quality of a character or a heart over a materialistic thing for sure. And I have a golden egg here. And the golden egg, you know, I always connect that egg is to wisdom. An embryo, it's to the pure wisdom that the universe has to offer. It's in that golden egg. Also a reference to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory there. Yeah. And then you can look it up to see whatever references are coming through. We got a hand connected to a light bulb, connected to the sun. So this is also connected to innovation. You know, I think sun inspires, that solar energy inspires inspiration. But these creative, perhaps, ideas and pursuits that will be coming through, it will be for the sake of, or in pursuit of, helping people in some way. So it won't be, a lot of times people create just to create, you know, it's for selfishness, it's to look good, it's to get a trophy. But in this case, people are going to be called to create something that really matters. It's helping people in some way and contributing. And actually, I'm getting a flash to, what's his name for the Black Eyed Peas? But he was really into technologies, and he did a documentary talking about these kids who started charter schools where they're able to get a better quality of education. And the documentary was called Waiting for Superman. So I'm getting a flashback to that. So I think some of that humanitarian work is going to be coming through, where people are really feeling compassionate to want to help people in some way. Yeah, this will also be a good time to read, soak up the knowledge as well, spend that time in isolation, and build your strength of heart. So Ketu and Leo, spiritually, this will be a powerful time of ego dissolution. Humility will be a common and frequent lesson. As opposed to worldly leadership, Ketu and Leo will spark authentic leadership that is built from the bones of humility, kindness, compassion, respect, and service. The true leaders will be serving in a way that feels authentic to them and will be continuously putting work behind the scenes, not sitting on a throne waiting to be served, though people will desire to serve them when they come to recognize true nobility, a noble and honest heart. Ancestral karma will be the common theme. Ketu, the planet of dissolution, offers us an opportunity to dissolve our ego. And by doing so, we dissolve ancestral karma and evolve ourselves in our lineage. As we opt out of the illusion of loyalty to family in exchange for a higher and true divine and harmonious partnership of loyalty to the divine, the purification fire of Ketu will burn the impurities and ignite the flame of truth in our hearts. Yeah, so, you know, what comes with the expectation of societies, they always say, oh, you need to be loyal to this group. You might find people are kind of breaking off their loyal engagements, but, you know, Rahu and Aquarius can be a little cultish. I didn't really talk about that. It can be a little cultish, where people are like, you're going to be our savior. That's basically a cult, right? And, you know, there's good cults out there too. You know, there's people who genuinely want to help other people, and they're not just like, you know, just a cult of people who are self-centered and self-serving. But in general, I think it's so important for us to be truly loyal to, learn how to be loyal to the divine and the divine laws and the divine universe. And that's where our loyalties return to us. Whereas loyalty to other situations and organizations get us caught and intertangled in other messes. Okay, so here are the nakshatras. So first, Ketu is going to be going through Uttara Phalguni. In fact, Ketu is in Uttara Phalguni in the Virgo side. So Uttara Phalguni, for the Leo side, the initial rulership is Sun, and then the second energy is Mercury. So It'll be in the sun solar part on May 18th. So this gives off princely energy, humanitarian, sharing service, the scholarly prince who uses his knowledge to give back to the kingdom, humble to constant learning. Ketu puts an emphasis on purification and pure intention. No pleasure in personal gain, but joy in spiritual gain. With Ketu's emphasis there, it's going to put an emphasis on purification. Uttara Phalguni is a nakshatra that is focused on giving and sharing. It is a scholarly nakshatra, as in it likes learning. It likes learning under those who know, because Mercury is the sun is the king. So Uttara Phalguni specifically likes to learn under the king. It likes to learn under those who know more than it knows. And it's a very humble nakshatra placement. It likes to give, it likes to kind of redirect. It also likes to soak up attention too, but it in general likes to be of service and share. And it takes a lot of pleasure and joy out of that. Yeah, so with Ketu in transiting Uttara Phalguni, there would be an emphasis on spiritual gain, joy and spiritual gain. So like, how am I working on myself, basically? How am I working on being better? Okay, now we have Purva Phalguni. Missed a V there. So this is Sun, Venus rulership. This energy is connected more to luxury, living, artistic expression. The queen or king who bathes in a strong sense of comfort and confidence of self. They attract, indulge in, and have endless creative energy. They enjoy their position of authority. Ketu redirects the indulgence to purpose, purposeful creation, purposeful leadership, detachment from material possessions. So Purva Phalguni, because it has that Venus co-rulership, is more focused on luxurious living. But spiritually, Venus is focused on harmony with oneself, not materialistic luxury. It's more of the connection to the body, like having, like, for example, like cottons and silks and certain, materials that go on the skin that are good for the skin. That's where Ketu would have a different kind of influence on Purva Phalguni. It's also a very creative nakshatra. So I think people might be tuning into a very spiritual, esoteric, just kind of off the wall or just out of nowhere creativity, where they're tuning into like certain talents. So you might be tuning into certain gifts and talents during this time. You're like, oh, I didn't know I had this talent. I didn't know I had this skill. Well, now you're learning. You have this skill. You have this talent, and you can flow with it. People might be crafting and just creating things for fun out of the blue. But Ketu redirects towards, so instead of indulgence, which is what Venus would be more of, indulgence, and Sun, especially with that combo. I imagine the king eats quite well, likes to eat quite well. Instead, it will redirect to purpose. So be purposeful. It wants to be more purposeful creation, purposeful leadership. Purposeful, not just creating for the sake of creating, but creating things that people need in some way. So Magha is the main influence here because we have the co-rulership here is Ketu, so Sun and then Ketu. And Ketu is going to be transiting through its own nakshatra. So this is going to be happening when I look at my dates. So in Uttara Phalguni, that's from now until July 31st, and then Purva Phalguni, July 31st, so that's the end of July. Interesting how that lined up, to March 28th, 2026. Nice, kind of like the endish of March. So it'll enter next March. So this is focused on Magha. So Ketu in Leo is going to be giving off the energy of Magha throughout its entire transit. So this is focused on ancestral inheritance or gifts or abilities and karma. So we inherit gifts, we inherit abilities from our ancestors, from our past lives, but we also inherit the karma. The old soul who feels detached from worldly success, but it finds them anyways thanks to past life and ancestral inheritance. So Magha is like the old soul who feels detached from the worldly success, but it finds them anyways thanks to past life and ancestral inheritance. Ketu is at home here. A karmic obligation can be peacefully fulfilled during this transit. One can rise in status spiritually or raise their state of consciousness. Surrender as the wood burns to embers. So Magha is actually quite a peaceful, it's a peaceful, noble Leo energy. It already is sort of that. It's also quite scholarly, likes to do that research and deep diving with that Ketu research influence as well, likes to learn knowledge. So this would be a really good time. This would be a time, I think, where, again, that inheritance theme is coming through. And I didn't write that as an overlapping theme, but during the period of August, which is around Leo season, interesting enough, that's when Rahu's going to be in Dashanishta and Ketu's going to be in Magha. And both of those nakshatras, interestingly enough, opposite nakshatras looking at each other, focus on inheritance of good karma. So I think that's when people are going to start seeing some incredible upticks during that period next year. Okay, so I have the dates here, and around these date times is when I will be talking about and creating shorts, Rahu in Aquarius and Ketu in Uttara Falguni. Rahu in Purva Bhadrapada and Ketu in Uttara Falguni. I shall be doing that soon. We're going to break it down for you. I'll be doing some shorts where I break it down for you. So something to look at, Rahu will be in its own nakshatra starting November 22nd of this year. And Ketu will be in its own nakshatra next year, March. There's going to be an overlapping period from March to August 1st, 2026. During that overlapping period, some interesting things are going to happen during that period because Rahu is going to be in its natural sign rulership and Ketu is going to be. So I imagine like there's going to be some sort of syncing up or alignment that happens around that period that we will all feel. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the part that you are all waiting for, I'm sure. I'm going to start talking about the transit of Rahu and Ketu for your chart. All right, starting with Aries. So Aries, it looks like Rahu is going to be transiting your 11th house, Aquarius, and Ketu is going to be transiting your 5th house. Must be cool to be an Aries ascendant. Like everything transits, you know exactly what house it's in, or Baba. So it's in the Rashi of Aquarius and the Rashi of Leo. I'm still getting used to these terminologies. So Rahu in Aquarius in the 11th house. I feel like this is going to be an amplified time where you'll be called to be of service in some way to others. With Saturn being the dispositor of Aquarius and it's sitting in Pisces, you're going to be having the very strong influences of Pisces energy during that time as well. So not necessarily a time where you're going to be feeling particularly like, let's go out, let's socialize. With Mercury being in Aries, maybe. Maybe you will be called to socialize during that period of time once Rahu enters into Aquarius. But during this time, it's going to be intentional because, you know, Pisces, Saturn Pisces, that to me is just making me think of responsibility. And then it's in the 12th house of Moksha. This is more responsibility to your spiritual essence and your spiritual evolution here, or just really working on yourself behind the scenes. So whatever contribution you're making, it could be coming from some of the insight you're receiving during your times of isolation. So you might come out, right, during this period, you might peek out and be like, hey, let me go ahead and give back to people in some way, shape, or form what I've learned while I've been in isolation. But I'm getting kind of like a peekaboo energy where we're coming out and going back in. That is what I'm picking up there. So with Ketu being in Leo in your 5th house, yeah, I think maybe a heavy theme around kids, family, ancestral karma that might be showing up for you during this time. You might find yourself just having certain creative abilities coming back, maybe things that you set aside in childhood that are coming back where you're like wanting to express yourself a bit differently. But, you know, it's introverted energy. So you might not necessarily feel like I need to write the song and share it with everybody. You might write a few songs behind the scenes and just keep it to yourself. So this feels like self-expression for the sake of self-expression, just like feeling good or learning about yourself in some way, but not necessarily for the sake of like, I need to go share this experience with others. Also, I'd like to add Rahu and Aquarius in that sign and in that house, the 11th Baba in the Rashi of Aquarius, can actually bring some sort of fame, name, recognition. So there might be some sort of recognition coming from something you did in the past originally. You know, I'm getting karmic energy here, like something you did in the past something reputational wise. You might get some sort of recognition. I often find that people who have this placement, you know, they get that recognition, they get those achievements. So you might be finding that someone somewhere is recognizing you for something during this period. Let's say you're doing something creatively, it's going to feel so intuitive. It's actually going to feel intuitive, natural. You're not going to be overthinking. And then you're just going to get the award, get the recognition, and be like, what the heck? It could even be something you were working on. Let's say you were working on something, you set it aside, and then out of the blue, suddenly you get recognition for it. I'm seeing that for you too. So that's what I'm seeing for your Rahu Aquarius transit, Aries. I hope you enjoyed that. Hey, Taurus. So it looks like Rahu is going to be transiting your 10th house, 10th Baba in the Rashi Aquarius, and Ketu will be in the Rashi Leo in your 4th Baba. I think this has been a time, and it looks like it will continue to be a time of you being out there. I feel like your energy is being called to be expressed outwardly in some way. You know, with Saturn being in the 11th house, Neptune, Venus, Pisces energy right now. I mean, maybe you have been sharing, creating, making. So this humanitarian work or this humanitarian theme is not going to be new to you. It's actually just going to feel like more repetitive. But with the 10th house, this could perhaps give you a more solidified opportunity to put it in something, right? Like maybe create like a book or something, a course of something or some sort to share with others. This could also be an opportunity for you to network, connect with people, to group together and say, hey, let's go ahead and put this together. So Rahu is more of that materialistic energy, and it will give you that energy that you need to like get to work and it will give you that energy. I don't know where that cut off. Well, it doesn't matter. It recorded my voice. It will give you that energy to move forward. It will give you that energy to create something, make something, which is exciting. Yeah, so this could be a really wonderful time. You know, 10th house will still make you do the work. You know, and Saturn in Pisces too is no joke in that 11th house. So you are being called to work on this, to make it, create it. You know, I think I see more later in the year or later in this transit, you're going to be getting more of that. You could be getting more of that recognition for it or more of the fruits of your labor during that time. But with that Rahu in 10th house, that's saying put in the work, put in the work. You might be finding that your discipline is amplifying, but with Saturn being in Pisces, it's like an intuitive discipline. So this is where you're finding a natural flow. You're not overworking yourself. You're finding moments of productivity, and then you're finding moments of pause in your life. With Mercury being in Aries, this could be an advantageous time for you to self-reflect and think about, what do I want to share with people? You know, what's really important to me? Where do I want to put my focus? This could also be a good time right now for you to reevaluate how you approach things. So with Ketu being in the 4th house, so there's like some spiritual detachment that's happening around your 4th house of energy with home. So I feel like your energy kind of has already been out in the public. Like this energy feels very public with Rahu being in the 10th house. But Saturn, Neptune, and Venus being in your 11th house, it feels quite public. But with Ketu being in Leo here, this is giving us the energy of being at home, relaxing, and maybe not wanting to do so much of that. I think the main theme for you, Taurus, is work. You know, just being more disciplined with yourself. And you might, during this period, be feeling more of this pressure to just get something done, to work on yourself, to organize your time. I'm seeing like people knocking on your door. I'm seeing people knocking on your door saying, hey, we need you for this, we need you for that. So just make sure you find balance with that energy. But otherwise, Ketu and Leo can be activating some sort of inheritance. It could be activating some sort of creativity when you're at home. It could be activating some sort of shift around moving, perhaps a potential to inherit a place or to stay with family as well. But it's to work through karma. Okay, so whatever is coming in, it's coming in as a result of the fruits of your labor, or it's coming in for you to do work in this area. So let's say a conflict shows up around, could be mother, could even be kids, like whatever at home, like some sort of home situation shows up. Well, the best way for you to move through it is with detachment and just observation, because K2 often presents us with a challenge that we can't really do anything about on the physical. With the Rahu, we have more of the ability to be more effective in change, and that's where we have to sort of pull ourselves back and not be too proactive or too impatient about that process. But with that Ketu influence, that's saying there might be some sort of challenge that shows up for you around home life or a moving situation, perhaps, where you're just going to have to like move through as best as you can. Okay, so that's what I'm picking up for you, Taurus. Hey, Gemini, so it looks like Rahu is in Aquarius, Rashi. I'm trying to get these terminologies right. Rahu is in Aquarius in the 9th house for you, 9th Baba. And Ketu is in the 3rd Baba for you. That's actually quite interesting. So you are an air sign. So we have Rahu in an air sign for you. So there might be an opportunity for you to step into a leadership position or for you to be mentored by someone. This could be out of the blue, unusual opportunity or experience that shows up. But because you're an air sign, I feel like this can also activate some sort of opportunity for you to tune into your dharma here and for you to step into a new chapter where you're able to use your communication skills or abilities in a way that is really beneficial and really advances your knowledge. It helps you to know more about yourself. It helps you to learn and helps you to embrace knowledge in general. So yeah, this could be a really profound time of learning for you. Sometimes the 9th house could be the house of travel where we're called to go somewhere else to learn. Rahu brings unusual experiences, as does Aquarius. So if there is a teacher or a mentor that shows up, it's going to feel quite unusual. If you're the teacher, you might be taking a very unique approach that people are interested in. You may be inventing some sort of new way of teaching people something. 9th house is also the house of expansion. So you might feel this like unquenchable appetite to just like learn, to soak up a lot of knowledge, to like go here, go there. So have fun with that and just make sure you give yourself time to rest at times. We have Saturn in Pisces in the 10th house. So there's like a strong dharmic connection I'm feeling for you, Gemini, where your dharma is being very highly activated and a life purpose opportunity is being activated where you're stepping into something that is aligned with you and you're being called. It's what I'm hearing. You're being called to something that is aligned with you. So we have Ketu here in the sign of Leo. So, Ketu gives us challenges that we have to, we can't really do anything about, but we can only detach ourselves from. So you're learning detachment because you're a Gemini and it's in your 3rd house. This feels very kind of karmic. So it looks like you're learning how to detach from your own unhealthy, with it being in Leo, I'm going to say like selfish tendencies. Let's say you're used to thinking certain thoughts that just are not helping. They're all in service of your own personal agenda, and they're not in service of a collective sort of way of thinking or approaching life. You're going to be called to let go of your own personal agenda here. So maybe whereas you usually like, oh, I just want to communicate like this and do it like this, and this is fun to do it like this and do it like that. With this transit, you're going to be asked to sort of pull back from that experience and to be, Aquarius brings more of a serious approach. So be more serious, methodical, thoughtful about how you're communicating your ideas and concepts. Saturn and Pisces can be very esoteric, bohemian, very spiritual. So instead of just being like, yeah, let's say this, like I'm getting a serious energy for you that's kind of coming in. And with you being Gemini, sometimes you can be like fun, woohoo, but Ketu there is going to kind of force you like really think before you speak. And this is great because I actually think this can help you to step into more powerful leadership for yourself, Gemini, where you are leading by example by being intentional with your words. And you're just going to be less inclined to maybe take over the spotlight, to speak your mind, let's say it like that, and instead just speak when you feel called to speak. That's what I'm hearing. Yeah, so there could also be a situation around siblings that is unfolding during this time. Maybe your siblings are going through some sort of spiritual ego death of some sort that they need to work through. And there could also be some sort of help or inheritance, kind of unusual backdoor, just out of the blue, help that is showing up from siblings, friends, within a community during this time. But mainly you'll feel called more to like learning. So it's going to be intentional. If you do surround yourself with people, you're going to be wanting to learn around people who are like, let's do something, let's get something done, let's be progressive in this world, let's advance something. I think you'll be gung-ho for that. All right, Gemini, I hope you enjoyed that. Hey, Cancer. So it looks like it looks like Rahu will be in Aquarius in your 8th house, and Ketu will be in Leo in your 2nd house. So for you, Cancer, this is going to be a powerful time of transformation. Now, with those insane karmic energies we have shifting through right now, whatever karma, whatever intense transformation, it's going to intensify. Let me just say it like that. So Rahu can bring some sort of unexpected transformation. Now, the way that it works on different levels of consciousness, if you're more conscious and you're more aware, it's going to be more subtle and internalized. If you're not aware and you tend to ignore working on yourself, then it's going to be externalized and very apparent. So either you put in the work on your transformation or you avoid it. Now, with Pluto being in Capricorn, having been in Capricorn since 2020, and it's going to be there for like another 10 years or so, in your 7th house, I'm sure you have been feeling an intense transformation. You've been feeling called to transform and go through that transformation. Well, with this transit, you're going to have to transform. Take it on. It's going to make you better and wiser for it. Now, you have, I'm hearing, leadership capabilities that want to be activated in you to helping people in some way. Perhaps you have, with you being Cancer, Cancers usually are quite compassionate. Perhaps you have wanted to be an advocate or compassionate in some way, in shape or form. Well, this is going to help you to do the groundwork for the inner shifts that you have to do in order for you to really, truly be compassionate to people. So yeah, I'm seeing, 8th house can be quite challenging because it's like unexpected and, we want safety. We want predictability. But there's going to be an amplification of responsibility here. I've also heard the 8th house is connected to the government. So that just makes me think about work and responsibilities that we're having to put in to ourselves. Again, if we're not doing the inner work, it externalizes itself here. The best thing we can do is go back in and see what we need to work on for ourselves to shift, as opposed to externalizing and making the universe like jolting us awake when we're not paying attention. So you're also getting some influences from the 9th house. So maybe you have some teachers, some mentors. This is who you want to look to, people who are examples, who can help you to show you a different way to approach things. But I'm really getting this leadership energy from this reading here. And I'm picking up that you have the capabilities within yourself to really step up to the plate and to take accountability and to do what you need to do to shift, to transform your life, to create a better experience for yourself. I'm here. Destiny is knocking at the door for you, Cancer. Destiny is knocking at the door and it's like, let's do it. Let's get it done. Okay, so Ketu is transiting Leo in your 2nd house. So the 2nd house could be house of values. There may be less of because 8th house it's very introspective. It's psychic energy as well. You might feel less interested in like focusing on accumulating your money and your resources during this time. Maybe you're a Cancer. So Cancer energy is about that safety, security. So they like accumulating their resources so that they're taken care of and good to go. But instead, that's sort of going to be put aside in exchange for you trusting here, that trust fall with Ketu, trusting your resources are taken care of so that you can actually focus on your inner transformation. Now, I want to say this one last time. Do the work. Choose to do the work, because if you don't voluntarily do the work, it will come chase you down. And as someone who volunteers often to like try to do my inner work, it's still very hard. But with that transit, it will force you. It will put it in your face. Do the work. Let's get this done. Let's move through this. So Aquarius is here to change your way of thinking, your approach to things. It's here to bring progressive ideas and doing things. So if you typically don't like change, Rahu in Aquarius is going to say, let's change, let's invite new concepts and ideas and approach to doing things so I can enjoy my experiences or my life as opposed to resisting it. So Leo energy, we got leadership here in the second house of family. Yeah, you might actually feel, because second house could be the house of immediate family. So maybe you feel during this time less interested in being around your immediate family. Rahu in the 8th house could also pull you into foreign lands, you know, especially with that unusual energy. Aquarius and Rahu connected together can really make it unusual of an experience for you, where you're actually forced to rely on yourself as opposed to others. So during this time, with a Ketu in the second house, this would be a good time to reassess what really matters to you. So if you're clinging too tightly to things you like your stuff and whatnot, it's going to be frustrating. If you let it go and you're like, oh, you know, it broke, might as well just let it go, move on, then this will help to benefit you. Okay. That's what I'm seeing for you, Cancer. I mean, there could be opportunities for, you know, leadership. I'm definitely seeing leadership for thyself here is what I'm picking up big time, as opposed to like responsibility to work stuff. So finding that healthy balance is going to be important. It's going to be more responsibility to the self, responsibility to transformation, responsibility to learning about oneself, digging deep. And this is 8th house is about that subconscious reprogramming. So this is going to be your opportunity to do deep, intensive reprogramming. And subconscious reprogramming is not fun. Meditation is going to be hugely valuable. Sitting in stillness, sitting in quiet, being in nature, grounding is going to benefit you immensely during this period. But yeah, maybe some opportunities of leadership might come here and there where you're asked to, let's say, talk or just be here or represent, you know, out of the blue, but you're not going to be as interested in focusing on that. You're going to be more interested in like, let me do my inner work here. All right, Cancer, that's what I'm seeing for you. Hey, Leo. So it looks like Rahu will be transiting Aquarius in your 7th house, and Ketu will be transiting your 1st house in Leo. Okay. So this is going to be a very, how should I say this? It's going to be a very apparent shift for you because it's happening in your very visible houses. The 1st and the 7th are very visible houses. So during this time, you're going to be going through a huge detachment around thyself. Take care of yourself, make sure you're eating okay, you're taking care of your health, all those basic needs. But you might be feel called to just detach. With you being a Leo, right? Having that Leo influence. Usually you like maybe the spotlight, you like the attention, maybe you enjoy it more. But during this period, you're just going to be like, I don't care. And I remember I actually had a period, maybe I was going through this where Ketu was transiting my 1st house, where I literally didn't care what I looked like. I just didn't care about the way I looked. I just didn't care. I didn't care about being around people. That's kind of what I'm picking up for you. Like, I just didn't really care. I was just like going through my own things. So this, you know, placement within the 1st house is going to force you to contend to face some inner things that perhaps you have been avoiding for yourself. And this is the time where you're going to be called to really do that deeper, intensive work for yourself, to be very introspective. This could be a time where you're learning, you're researching, you're diving in behind the scenes, and you're receiving new insight that is showing you a lot. This could be a time where your spiritual abilities, spiritual pathway, spiritual approach to things is activated. Spiritual powers, perhaps, is activated. So it's very good, very auspicious for spiritual pursuits, for a spiritual career or whatever. It's great for that. With Rahu transiting Aquarius in your 7th house, so this could align you with very unusual and interesting partnerships that might want to show up in your life during this time. So you might find yourself just with people who from all parts of the world, different personalities, just opposite of you, opposite of you, very different thinking, different approach to life, but maybe you're learning from these people. You know, maybe you want to, instead of doing things the way you've always been maybe self-assured about how you like to do things, maybe this is a time where you feel called to learn about someone else's way of life or way of being. So I'm seeing someone who travels into like a tribal lands and they learn how the tribal people live or something like that. So you might be very interested and inquisitive about understanding other people's cultures and how they operate. There could be an emphasis around partnership. So you could be meeting people, you could be your partner. If you have a partner, they could be going through something, a reinvention phase of the sort during this time, or an amplification of notoriety, attention, or responsibility coming their way. Yeah. But yeah, I didn't really talk about it earlier, but Aquarius and Scorpio are two of the most karmic signs. Aquarius is karmic in the sense that it forces you to help in some way. So this is going to be a time where you're less interested in focusing on your own pursuits and you're more interested in helping your partner to reach their goals or obtain whatever it is that they're seeking, or help your organization or those you work around, help them to achieve their goals. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell for you, Leo. But yeah, I definitely see some creative spiritual abilities and energies and experiences being activated for you during this time. Hey Virgo, so it looks like Rahu is going to be in Aquarius in your 6th house. Oh, you're a Virgo and it's in your 6th house. We're going to talk about this in a minute. We got Ketu transiting Leo in your 12th house. Okay. So Virgo, this is going to be a very interesting time for you. And I say this because you are here to be of service. And with Rahu being in Aquarius in the 6th house, you are going to be asked to be of service in some way. So this is going to be a time perhaps where you're focused on realigning with Rahu being in Aquarius, you're realigning your routine, so your habits. So your routine, your habits, some of those things are going to be changing. You might be going through a bit of reprogramming around your habits, how you typically approach things, how you typically approach your health. You're going to be changing things out. You're going to be experimental is what I'm hearing. You're going to be experimental, trying out different things. This could be an opportunity also where your work life is different. So your work-life routine might be different. You might be changing things up. You might get an opportunity to do something differently. You might be working around a group of people who you don't typically work around during this period of time. So you can learn. So I'm hearing actually like you're going to get some sort of plus. It's going to feel like a I'm seeing someone get a opportunity to work, like let's say they work in a certain field of work around cyber technology, and then they're like, hey, we want you to work with this group of people. Like I'm seeing you being picked out of that line to work with a certain group of people or an organization of some sort. And otherwise, this could be a really good time for you to just like focus on, let's say you're an entrepreneur and you work for yourself. This could be a really good time for you to get more attention, or attention comes to you for what you do. More people recognizing what you do quite well. So I feel like there's just some sort of positive amplification happening because you're already a Virgo and it's in the 6th house. So that to me is telling me you're getting some like power, like you're getting a power, an upgrade. That's the word I'm looking for. You're getting some sort of upgrade around your work life or work opportunity or career opportunity or career recognition during this period. Anything else? I think that's it. I mean, you might be called to work. Maybe you've been on pause or things have been sort of slow, or you just haven't been that active. You might be called to get more to work during this period of time. You know, Rahu was previously transiting your 7th house, focused on partnership. Well, 6th house is more focused, again, you're putting the focus more back on yourself or your duties and what you're here to do. So there might be an increase in duties and things you're needing to get done. You might be part of an organization where you're needing to do and participate in more work here. So with Ketu being in Leo in your 12th house, So Ketu is in a house it likes. It's in the moksha house, and it's a moksha shadow of the moon here. So with you being a Virgo already is about purification. So this ego death is actually going to feel quite natural for you during this period. Like these energies feel quite natural for you, Virgo. So, with Rahu being in 6th house, Ketu being in the 12th house, this is going to work in your benefit. You're going to feel like, I don't want attention like that. Like I want to dissolve my ego and I want to be of service. Like it's going to feel very natural for you to be of service, to help out, to assist. And if you have creative abilities, you're going to want to redirect them to help in some way, to be of service in some way, for it to help you perhaps elevate when it comes to your spirituality. So let's just say you do something creatively behind the scenes that helps you to feel like really connected to the cosmos and the universe. Yeah, there might be a lot of creativity happening behind the scenes, but it's not going to be for self-serving agenda. It's going to be for the sake of just feeling so calm and meditative. So I'm feeling like really nice, relaxing energy coming through for you, Virgo. I think this is going to be an awesome time for you to have fun being yourself, being your Virgo self. And yeah, I think you're going to enjoy how things unfold. Pleasant surprises, what I'm hearing. Okay, moving on. Hey, Libra. Okay, so looks like Rahu will be transiting your 5th house in Aquarius, and Ketu will be transiting your 11th house in Leo. Interesting. So since you're a Libra, they're actually transiting their opposite houses, right? With Rahu being in Aquarius in Leo, in the 5th house, sorry. I actually think this is going to be a very creative time for you. Very creative, very innovative, very inventive. There actually might be an opportunity for you to step into leadership because we got the 5th house, we got the 5th house of intelligence, we got Aquarius. So you might just find that your mind is working quick, or you're just putting all of these ideas quickly together. You might feel called to write, share, speak, talk in some way to others in a creative way, because this feels inventive, this feels creative, this feels like flowy, where you're just kind of like, dang, let's just do it like this and do it like this, and you're just kind of knowing how to do this. I'm getting energy. I think you're going to be getting energy to move, to create, to make things, to have fun, to socialize, to network, and to connect with people. And you're actually going to have more of an opportunity to be yourself, so, you promoting your own personality will actually work in your benefit during this time. With Ketu, even though Ketu is the one in Leo and it's in the 11th house, to me, there's still going to be a focus on your personality, but your personality is going to come off as more of a giver. So you're an air sign and you have Rahu transiting an air sign. So there's like an amplification of like, I am so connected to ideas. I'm wanting to communicate and share and teach. Air signs are teachers. So I feel like you're going to be having an opportunity to teach. You could be growing in your reputation to teach. You're going to be coming off as a teacher who people respect, admire, like, or enjoy. Your ideas that come through are going to be really interesting. Even to you, you might surprise yourself at the things that you come up with, you think of. 5th house can also be the house of children as well. You could be teaching around kids. You might be interacting with kids during this time. If you're interacting with kids, I think you're going to be enjoying it. It's going to be experimental. You're going to be like, let's try this, let's do this, let's try that, let's do a little bit of all of this stuff. And you're going to be more tuned into the inner child quite naturally. And you're going to want to give, children, they need that attention. They need that help and assistance. And I feel like you're just going to be the one that they want to look up to. If you have children or children around you, you're going to be the one that they're like, whoa, this is cool. Let's try this. Really fun. It feels like creative mad scientists, but like so fun. Kind of like Bill Nye, the science guy vibe going on is what I'm picking up for you, Libra. Okay, so we have here Ketu in Leo in the 11th house. So there's more of a detachment around networking, even around attention. Maybe you're around friends, but you're like, you're supporting them and you're not really interested in like supporting your own self. But I think Rahu is going to still be amplifying your own personality. So your personality is just going to come out one way or the other. Rahu in 5th house makes people quite personable. So that transit's going to make you more personable to people. But Ketu and Leo is going to be more like it's not going to be about, oh, this is what I want to do. It's going to be like, oh, let's do something we all like. Let's do something that's interesting to all of us. But you might actually have a preference, either to be around your kids or be by yourself, doing things, teaching. Even like Aquarius can rule the internet. So let's say you're teaching something online or through the internet. You could be teaching things on the internet versus like being there in person teaching people things. You could be, I'm seeing, how people post things of them just like making music and stuff. You could be doing something creatively that you just do, and then you just post it and people are like, whoa, cool, cool, cool. We love this. We like this. It's kind of what I'm picking up too for you. But yeah, you won't be as interested in like trying to be a part of like organizations or trying to network. It's more of what I'm feeling is that the networking will happen more spontaneously, or the networking opportunities, creative opportunities will happen more spontaneously for you. So you have Saturn, the depositor of the Aquarius, sitting in the 6th house. So the 6th house is a productive house, productive routine. This is about where we focus on our health. So that's also impacting it too. So I think your work ethic is actually going to be incredible during this time. You have the opportunity to have really good work ethic, to work on yourself. So work ethic starts from the basics, starts from how you eat to how you sleep. And then that creates the energy for you being able to create. So I feel like you're going to have more energy because you're going to be a lot more disciplined with your routine and how you're moving through things. And maybe you're also going to be channeling that Pisces. Pisces can be so creative, all the zodiac signs. You're channeling that into the 5th house of creativity as well. Yeah, so detachment from self, I'm hearing aggrandizement. Just less focus on you celebrating yourself. Like, I need attention. I need recognition for what I did. You're actually not going to feel that interested in recognition for what you do. You just want to do it. That's what I'm hearing. It's like, I just want to do it. I just want to create. I don't need the recognition for it. I don't need a certification or a title for it. I just want to do it. Like, let's go. Okay. That's mainly what I'm picking up for you. But yeah, maybe a detachment around networking, hanging around people, being a part of this or that. But I think your energy is just going to attract opportunities and it's going to attract people to you. But it might be more work or creativity focused more than anything. All right, that is what I'm picking up for you, Libra. Hi, Scorpio. So it looks like Rahu will be transiting your 4th house and in Aquarius, and Ketu will be transiting Leo in your 10th house. So these are very visible houses. Whatever shift, once this, transit takes off, whatever shift is happening, it's going to be quite noticeable and apparent in your life. So there's going to be a focus and an emphasis on home life. So there could be a move, right? You could be renovating your home. But 4th house is also the house of psychology. So this could be a really good time to reprogram your psychology, to work through trauma. Now, with you being a very intuitive sign, this actually might feel quite natural for you to work through this. You're going to be getting progressive ideas and insights on how to work through things, how to work through childhood pains, hurts. 4th house is about safety and security. So this is about finding a sense of safety and security in your states of consciousness and truth. Air sign is also about states of, it's about our mental states. So it's like maybe you're learning how to elevate into higher, healthier mental states that helps to elevate your thinking instead of creating a burden. And I forgot to put Saturn in your chart here. That's fine, but Saturn will be in Pisces in your 5th house. So you're going to be getting a little bit of that 5th house energy. You might be bringing some of that creative, disciplinary energy into your 4th house. So you might be finding that you're more disciplined with your home life. And this is helping you to be a lot more disciplined with your headspace as well. I think the important thing is grounding is going to be very helpful for you to find that balance with yourself. Even though Rahu's like home, psychology, to me, it also makes me think of Earth. Because I feel like we find that grounding energy with Earth when we're connected to the Earth. So I think this is going to be a very advantageous time for you to connect with the Earth, and you're going to feel the most stable because of that. So there could be some changes or shifts happening around your mom, perhaps, or parents. They might be going through some interesting shifts in their life as well. So with K2 transiting your 10th house, I think you're going to be less interested and more detached from wanting attention around your 10th house. So maybe less reputational attention, like not needing attention, not wanting attention, not really being out there, but maybe keeping more to yourself. Rahu in Aquarius also gives me that energy of someone who works from home. So you might be working from home as opposed to working in an office or working around people during this time. Ketu in 10th house detaches us from needing a career. So the 10th house is like the things that we build, right? It's what we put a lot of attention and energy into to create something and to make something. And this is going to be the time where you're not as interested in building your legacy. Even Leo gives us that legacy energy. So you're not as interested in building your legacy. You're more interested in, I'm hearing simplifying things, and getting back to the basics of how you take care of yourself and how you experience yourself, because that Saturn in Pisces in the 5th house can bring like the self-expression influence of individualism. Like, who am I? As opposed to, being a part of a legacy where I thought I had to make something important in this world because someone told me to, and I was raised that way. Why don't I just focus on who I really am and what I'm interested in? So you might be going through a bit of a reinvention phase that's happening from the inside out. So it's definitely going to be happening within you psychology wise. And perhaps your home life and the way that you arrange your home life is going to be a reflection of this. Maybe the Ketu can be, so this could be detachment from building, but with Mars being in Cancer and you being your sign during this time, there is definitely going to be a sensitivity to a sense of safety, security in home life, and that theme repeating and playing out for you, moving through psychological ideas or limitations that don't serve you. So this is a really good time to move on from those psychological ideas or mindsets or belief systems and constructs that no longer serve you, in exchange for something that's innovative and refreshing and different and new. Very much in a psychological reinvention, and less of a focus on needing to express, needing to be out here, needing to put things out in the world, and more of attention on how do I want to express myself? How do I see myself? Because the 10th house can be dharmic and karmic, right? Dharmic. You're going to see a very distinct dharmic inheritance show up as a result of you putting this work into yourself. You'll get to see. You will find out what that ends up being for you. All right, Scorpio, best of luck. Hey, Sagittarius. So it looks like Rahu will be transiting Aquarius in your 3rd house, and Ketu will be transiting Leo in your 9th house. This would be a really good time and opportunity. Maybe you will feel called to more networking, to sharing your ideas with others. This is also a really good time for you to work on your own communication, to learn how to realign your thinking process as well. You might be getting a lot of new, inspired, innovative, out-of-the-box ideas for how you can do things. So I'm seeing creativity. I'm definitely seeing because Rahu can be about that, or 3rd house can be more about that house of movement. So you're going to be called to movement. You're going to be called to create. You're going to be called to do something differently and take action on it. So with Ketu being in Leo in your 9th house here, Ketu, 9th house is a spiritual house. 9th house is a house of expansion, and Ketu is about that detachment. So perhaps you might actually be experiencing somewhat of a expansion, but it's more indirect, as opposed to learning a lot and receiving a lot of knowledge or adventuring out. You're going to be focusing more on the basics, because to me, like 3rd house, like 1st, 2nd, 3rd house are more of like the basics, the fundamentals of how we do things or how we approach things in our life. And the 9th house is more of that bigger picture. So you might be actually you're a Sagittarius. Oh my gosh. I just realized. Yeah, you are a Sagittarius. So you're used to more of that bigger picture thinking and perspective of seeing life. And usually that's your go-to. Like, you want to be expansive. You want to just receive all of the knowledge and see things from a higher perspective. But Rahu will be calling you to focus more on the fundamentals and the simple things, simple habits that you have. And most of those, the emphasis here will be in the third house. So this is an emphasis on communication and thinking. So communication reshapes our thinking. The third house, that's where we start being intentional with our communication. This is where we start using mantras to reform our subconscious mind. So with Mars being in Cancer in your 8th house of subconscious, this is a really good time for you to focus on some subconscious reprogramming and some new ways of getting yourself into a different mindsets. I feel like this would be a really good time for you to easily reprogram yourself. So you could be repeating mantras that easily get you into a different mindset and mind space of doing things. And maybe you'll be less interested in doing that, deeper dive insight to the bigger picture knowledge. Maybe you won't be as interested in history or going to a university, but instead you'll be called to just focus on how you interact with people and how you interact with yourself. You might be called to be more interactive with your community. Yeah, so instead of that bigger picture, you'll be focused more on those bite-sized insights. And, I think that's a really fun energy, with it being Aquarius. I think you're going to be a lot more fascinated by those smaller interactions and things you're experiencing on a day-to-day basis, as opposed to needing a bigger, broader experience to help you work through and understand certain concepts here. So you might be feeling out of your element, but I feel as though you'll be enjoying it, because it's like your opposite energy, but you're still going to be enjoying it and having more fun trying a different approach to something. And with Saturn being in Pisces and being the dispositor, sitting in the 4th house, again, this is about focusing on that simple stuff. There's a psychology revamping you're doing right now. And this is going to ask for you to discipline yourself with mantras. How do you speak? Maybe you might be called to learn etymology and be a lot more present with how you're speaking and how you're communicating, and reinventing it so that you're able to elevate into a higher state of consciousness. Ketu and Leo. So Ketu and Leo can be about, that leadership and creative energy. With you being a fire sign, you have some leadership capacities. You have that fire in you, and you are the final fire sign. So you definitely know how to take advantage of that fire. You know how to use it well. But this might be a period where that fire tames and it neutralizes or it refocuses. Fire can be very passionate. When it's passionate about something, it just wants to say something. But instead, you're going to redirect it to being intentional and learning. Sagittarius is all about, they like to learn from experience. At times they're very impatient. That's very impatient energy. I know it because I have it. It's a very impatient energy, and it just wants to kind of experience it before learning the basics. So I'm hearing this is like grabbing the manual for you Sagittarius. This is about like grabbing the manual and reading the manual first before operating the machine. That's kind of what I'm picking up for you during this time. So I feel like coming out of the transit, you'll be called more into direct opportunities. But during this time, this is the time to interact with community, to learn from other people, to learn from your own interactions, how you work with people, how you interact with them, your habits you have. So you're going to be a lot more observational and called to be a lot more observational with some of your habits that you have, and this is going to help you to elevate. Third house is also the house of siblings. So perhaps your siblings are going through some shifts or reinventive changes in their life as well. So maybe you guys can have fun together working on yourselves. As far as creativity goes, you might be, you might still be the Sagittarius expansive energy. Usually you feel more like, I need to work on this expansion. I just need to broaden my horizons. But during this period, it's going to be more chill. You're going to feel less of a need to act on it, express it. to express what you're learning, even like to express your knowledge with, because like Rahu can be good with like community and networking. The ninth house is all about attaching meaning to things. It's like, what's the meaning of life? What's the meaning of this? And I feel like you're going to be more connected to moving through the experience as opposed to needing it to be meaningful or mean something to you or be something important. Because Sagittarius can really like, whoa, this is like the most important thing ever. And this is going to be a time where you're just a bit more chill. You're like, I'm just, learning about myself and I don't need to broadcast it. Let's just move through it. Okay, I hope that helps you, Sagittarius. Hey, Capricorn. So it looks like Rahu will be transiting Aquarius in your 2nd house, and Ketu will be transiting Leo in your 8th house. Okay, so Rahu and Aquarius. So you're a Capricorn sign. You're already about your values, your security. I think you're going to be getting at a time where some of that security is showing up for you. So Rahu and Aquarius can be granting you, with Saturn in the 3rd house, there could be some sort of responsibility coming in or an opportunity coming in where you can grow in your resources. And I'm hearing like an investing opportunity. So like I'm hearing like an opportunity for you to grow in something, to grow in your fields of work, perhaps. This could be a time for you to do that. This will feel normal to you because you are already about that security and doing the work and being methodical about it. But with Rahu being there, the approach is going to be different because, Rahu is already unusual. Aquarius is unusual. And then we have Saturn in Pisces, which is the depositor. So the approach you're taking has more to do with the ability to flow. That's what's guiding you. Just the ability to flow in and out of different states or experiences. And this is actually what's going to help you grow in your resources. So maybe as opposed to where before you preferred a nice, consistent routine, or structure, or approach to things, but during this time you're going to be called to just like flow continuously, and then you're going to see that it works. It like helps you. It helps you to grow in your resources. It helps you to get what you need. It helps you to feel connected. So Rahu and Aquarius, this might be a time where you feel called to try different things, like different foods. You might be changing your diet, and you might be doing a 180 as far as what you typically eat. You might be called to be more open to trying out different flavors and spices during this time as well. Rahu is also connected to our immediate family. So your immediate family might be going through some shifts during this time in their life as well, where they're also being called to flow just like you with opportunities and however things want to go. So with Ketu being in Leo in your 8th house, usually astrology would say Rahu in 2nd house does really well. They say Ketu in the 8th house does really well because Ketu's already about detachment. 8th house is ambiguous and it's about those transformations, and transformation happens from us letting go of things that no longer serve us. So as opposed to, 8th house is like that deeper work. You're going to be focusing more on the basic, like the tangible. So you're going to be focusing on what you can observe, and you're going to feel called to focus on what you can observe and what you're initially experience as opposed to, subconscious fears or whatever. I think you're going to be feeling more brave during this time. So as opposed to you being attached to subconscious fears that tie you into this and that, you're going to be letting a lot of that go. You may also be called to let go. I'm getting a little bit of a celebratory energy. Maybe you've been working through some fears for some time as Ketu is transiting your 9th house and Rahu in your 3rd house. Maybe you were working through some of those fears. And then with Ketu being there, now you're just kind of ready to let it go and just like breathe and take it a lot easier. And I'm also hearing like not be so hard on yourself. So this might be a really good period where you're like, okay, I don't need to be so hard on myself and put these hard, intense expectations on myself for how I should do something or how I should do that. And part of what's going to be helping you to thrive is your focus on service, your focus on being helpful to others and to yourself and to just whatever the world needs to thrive, as opposed to, focusing on your own like selfish fears, like this to me is like a strong detachment from narcissism. To me, with that Leo 8th house in Ketu, I'm getting like those strong self-centered ideas and like narcissism that we all have. We all have a narcissist in us that you're letting go of. You're like, okay, you know, I've been so focused on the way I want to do things and how I want to do it. Now I'm starting to see a different perspective. I wouldn't even say the bigger picture, but I think you're just starting to see a different perspective here. Yeah, so there might be some, you know, even though we have Ketu in that house, it's still like very spiritual. So this can open the opportunity for you to be experimental, to tune into your spiritual abilities and capabilities, for you to access your intuition quite easily. I think that's going to be helping you as well, where you're just kind of able to connect to your intuition quite effortlessly. You just have a sense for knowing what works. If you often have trust issues or you have issues trusting yourself, I think during this period of time, you won't overthink as much. Like, oh, how should I do it, like this or that? You're going to feel a bit more confident in your capabilities and how you can do something, how you can approach it. And I think Rahu will help to get your mind, get ideas churning a little bit quicker. You know, if you feel a little bit stuck or slow with your thinking process or how to do things, I think Rahu's going to get things moving a little. It's going to spark a little electricity in you, so you get more active and you get things moving along, as opposed to maybe fixating on a mistake or confusion of, I don't know how to do this. This is a time where you're just like, okay, I trust myself more. That's what I'm hearing. Okay, that's what I'm seeing for you, Capricorn. Hey, Aquarius. So it looks like Rahu will be transiting your first house, and Ketu will be transiting Leo in your 7th house. So this is a very visible shift in transit for you. So this will be a time, it could be a combination of things where you're called to more responsibility. So Aquarius is a very karmic sign. And, you know, usually when we have placements here, like if you have a distinct placement in Aquarius, this is where you're like, the universe kind of pushes you because it needs you to do something, right? And it needs you to, you're really going to be feeling this theme of like karma, and you're going to feel this theme of needing to help or contribute in some way. So that Shatabi Shak or Sha energy is definitely going to be influencing you hardcore. So it does put that pressure of responsibility because it's in your first house, and your first house is, you know, yourself, your body, it's your health, it's how you're feeling. So you will be feeling that additional pressure. There might be some sort of work obligations or responsibilities, something around your resources. It could even be your immediate family that you were born into with Saturn in Pisces, where you're feeling like this obligation or you're feeling these responsibilities that you need to focus on. But it's all going to give you an opportunity for you to prioritize yourself and to further your goals, perhaps during this time. You know, you'll have ample opportunities for you to do something that you've been wanting to do. You're going to find people wanting to work around you or with you. And that might feel like a heavier dose of reality and responsibility where, oh, you know, I don't just have a theoretical idea. Now I have people working under me or people working with me who I'm responsible for. So I'm kind of getting that, you know, with great power comes great responsibility kind of thing. So yes, an opportunity for power, but responsibility is going to come with that. But if you use it well, you know, it can pay off in the long run. Otherwise, it can be very difficult to move through this energy. So we got Ketu and Leo in the 7th house of relationships and partnerships. So I think the tables will be turned in terms of like people will kind of come to you to work with you as opposed to maybe you reaching out to others. Otherwise, you're going to be the one who's propped as the leader that people work under or the person that people go to, as opposed to, you know, you being like, oh, we need to like level the playing field here. But this is where, you know, air signs are about expertise. They can be about expertise. They can be about their knowledge. This is going to be a time where your expertise and your knowledge is needed during this time. Your help, your aid in some way is needed, as opposed to you needing someone else's help or aid. You're going to be the expert. You're going to be the one. but this is going to be due to the accumulation of work. So whatever work you've already put into yourself, that's what's helping you to be prepared or qualified as the one. So the thing is, if you have these karmic positions, such as, any Saturn, like both Capricorn, Aquarius, or Scorpio, if you have these karmic positions, the universe has already made you do the work, right? And let's say you have 10th house, 11th house, or 8th house. The universe has already asked you to do prep work from your childhood onward for you to prep to be qualified for this. So you're already qualified for an opportunity that may be coming your way. Yeah, it can bring mixed results here. There could be still that pressure. But yeah, an overall detachment around connections and like partnerships, particularly like being around people or spending time or putting the focus on other people. Perhaps maybe you're gonna be like, I'm so great. I love myself so much. So there can be a little bit of that, and we have to watch out for that, because that, again, karma always balances things out. So if we become too much of a narcissist, then things will intensify. So Ketu in Leo is bringing a dissolution of the ego. So if you are given or propped up in some way, this will be due to your efforts to already dissolve your ego previously. That's what's going to determine the opportunity that comes your way. And then as you step into this opportunity, you will be challenged to continue to dissolve your ego. So that's the challenge here. You may get an opportunity to be in front of a bigger audience, to work with more people, but it's not coming through you saying, I'm so great. It's actually coming through you being humble and humility and service and respect and, being kind and compassionate and considerate of other people. That's where you will continue to shine even brighter this year, is through your continuous giving. Sometimes we put too much of an emphasis on, the humanitarian and the giving and the being of service, but the truest service that we can do and commit to in this world is to prioritize our well-being. So this Rahu being in your first house, this is definitely saying prioritize your well-being, prioritize your health, and you will thrive even more. So sometimes life will put pressures on us, but that doesn't mean we ignore our health. So you will be challenged with this placement to prioritize your well-being and prioritize your health, because Rahu can be gluttonous. So this is where you really have to pause and be very present with your consumption of things, whether that's products or food or whatever you're consuming. Just make sure you're watching that you're not overdoing it, because you can easily overdo it with Rahu transiting your first house, and it will be transiting its own nakshatra for a huge period of time, so it amplifies that gluttony even more. It could even create a cultish energy as well, right? Like, I want to save humanity, I want to help people, and I have these grand ideas, and we have to take extreme measures in order for this to happen. So you might be feeling like Varuna, like I was mentioning, who's the deity connected to Shatabishak Nakshatra. You might be feeling like Varuna, like you are the cosmic waters that writes justice. But this is where we got to remember to humble ourselves and be like, by the end of the day, the universe creates the justice, not us. So watch for that. Other than that, I think Ketu and Leo can also give you creative, intuitive opportunities. It could bring creative, intuitive people, partners around you who aren't interested in being self-serving, but maybe they're skilled in some way, like they're spiritually skilled, or they're spiritually capable, or tuned in, or just quite detached, and they could probably help guide you in some way or help you out as well. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Aquarius. Hi, Pisces, you're the last one. So Rahu will be transiting your 12th house in Aquarius, and Ketu will be transiting your 6th house in Leo. Okay. So this is really interesting, Pisces. So you got Saturn, your depositor, who rules the 12th house, sitting in Pisces. So we're getting that Pisces energy strong, and you're Pisces ascendant. So I would say definitely the energies of Saturn and Pisces is your energy for this transit. This energy is about karmic retribution and healing. It's about stepping into new cycles. So this will be a time where I feel like you're kind of pulling back from certain things, and things are ending intuitively, naturally, organically. Things are ending in your life, and you're not feeling as called to yeah, to be involved or to involve yourself in the situation or to make anything happen. So your energy is going to feel quite aligned. I think you're going to feel quite content with relaxing and not trying to do everything, because Saturn's going to put that pressure, in that first house. It does put that pressure. It's going to slow things down. You're going to feel maybe more lethargic, less interested in being so active. So watch your health. This is where we just take it easy. If our body wants to rest, let it rest. You might be feeling more tired during this time. So, give yourself time to rest, because you're in a recharge mode perhaps during this time. It'd be a recharge mode. Yeah, so Rahu in the 12th house might be calling you to isolation, detachment, dissolution. With the Ketu and Leo, there's already an emphasis around the ego death, but Rahu and Aquarius in your 12th house and Saturn in your first house is definitely, that's very karmic energy, and that's very much ego death. So this is like, you might be energetically feeling that pressure, but if you work with it, you flow with it, it will only benefit you. And this is a really powerful time for you to get some intense lessons. 12th house is a house of moksha. So you might be getting some really intense spiritual lessons. You might be getting tuned into your spiritual capabilities during this time. And with Rahu being in Aquarius in the 12th house, your spiritual capabilities will intensify even more. The air signs are very intense antennas, and Aquarius is the more charged up antenna, so to speak. Even look at the sign Aquarius, it looks like two antennas. So it looks like this is going to be a time for you to be a very powerful antenna. You could be tuning into energies. You might not necessarily want to share it, to write about it or anything, or blog about it. You might just feeling and experiencing this within yourself. This is a really good time of introspection, of isolation, because whatever transformation you're going through, it's going to feel quite natural. 8th house kind of forces transformation, it pressures transformation. It brings very intense 180 experiences into your life. Whereas 12th house, there's a gradual transformation that happens over the length of your whole lifetime. And it's more graceful. There's more grace. The 12th house is kind of connected to, it's that energy of ether. It's connected to the higher realms. It can be, if used in a benevolent way. So as we're connecting to those higher realms, we're getting more of that higher guidance for us to do better for ourselves. You might just be having really intense, and you might go through really intense spiritual, psychic, or mystical experiences during this period that are going to change the way that you see your life forever. So yeah, very life-changing period for you. A lot of spiritual discipline here. If you felt like you were, and you have avoided, or you haven't seen yourself as being someone connected to spirituality, well, this transit will say, yeah, time to focus on it. You do have spiritual work to do, and you will do it, and you have been doing it, and you are intuitive, but this is the time to do the real work, not the surface work, right? This is the behind the scenes grind, where, Aquarius is like reshaping your thinking process, and it's bringing in these innovative, progressive ideas that are revolutionizing you. And so you're going through your own personal revolution behind the scenes, Pisces. That's what this energy is calling for. And yeah, when you come out of that cocoon, people are going to look at you like, who are you? Who are you? And you're like, yes, I've gone through intense experiences. It's very mystical. It's very mysterious. Like I couldn't even say, I can pick up maybe some of the experiences you'll have, but I couldn't even tell you what the outcome is going to be, because it's a mystery to everyone, unpredictable. Who knows? All I know is if you do it with intention, pure intentions, it can only benefit you. So with Ketu being in Leo, so there's an ego dissolution and attachment that's happening around your 6th house. So maybe before you were very attached to the way that you did things, your routine life, or to your self-care routine. Maybe you were very fixed on your approach to this. With Leo, maybe you took pride in it. Like, oh, look how good I take care of myself, and I'm so great with my self-care routine. Or I'm so good with my work capabilities, and look how good and consistent I am at work, and everybody likes me at work. Well, during this period, you're going to feel more detached to that. You're not going to feel as interested in the self-aggrandizement. You're not going to feel as interested in celebrating yourself and oh, look how well I'm doing. And you might actually find that people are not giving you attention. You might actually find that people are just intuitively giving you space during this period. And you might even prefer it, because with that Saturn being in your first house, maybe you just feel a natural pressure in life right now that lethargic energy, and you're enjoying the isolation or the alone time where you get to just focus on yourself during this period. So yeah, maybe a detachment around work life, being busy, being productive, feeling like you need to be productive, and more of an appreciation for relaxation. This is really great time to meditate, relax, vacation, whatever. Take it easy, sleep, rest, self-care. Really good time for that, Pisces. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing for you, Pisces. I hope you enjoyed that. And that is the end of this. I will see you guys next time. Bye.